So, the character's name is Barrett Blueblood. But when I write about Barrett, it's interesting. I call out to him, and Barrett usually answers me like this. He'll say, "I am Barrett of the Blueblood." So there are times when I want to write the name actually Barrett of the Blueblood, but there's a stubborn back and forth between me and Barrett, and so I have written him as Barrett Blueblood, but in my heart he calls out Barrett of the Blueblood. Let's talk about the picture. Barrett is the personification of opulence. There is nothing that this guy can't have. The best clothing, the best food, the best of living spaces, means of travel. He is privileged. But Barrett's more than that. Barrett is the personification of frugality as well. And on top of that, he has the worship of money, value. So everything in his life is given a price tag. Love has a price, pain, anger, sorrow, tears, sweat, of course, blood. Everything is broken down into a quantitative state for Barrett. He worships wealth above all things, and he abhors poorness or things that are without. Finally, I'd have to say that Barrett is undisputedly the richest being on earth. Well, that gives you a little bit of history about my man Barrett of the Blueblood. I'm going to invite one of my biggest fans in to ask me 3 questions, and I'll do my best to answer them about this wonderful, enigmatic, and often cruel character. So the first question that I'm asked is about the accounts receivable throne that Barrett Blueblood resides, or that he sits upon. Before I get into the throne itself, let me give you a feel as to where the throne resides. The hall itself is immense in size. It can easily hold 40, 50,000 individuals. It's dimly lit. So on either side of Barrett Blueblood, there are calculators. One set of calculators calculates the debt of an individual, and the other set of calculators accurately sum up the potential of an individual. So talking about the accounts receivable throne itself, it's made of the most precious elements on earth. I really didn't get into what those elements are because we're talking about the future, and really who knows what those elements could be. It could be air itself that is the most precious element in the future. It could be something that we take for granted today and have plenty of that is now considered more rare and more precious. So I simply said that the throne exists of materials that are extremely rare to get your hands on, that sort of thing. The throne itself is in the shape of a scale. There's one side of the throne that sits behind a lead wall that is obscure, so you really can't see, that other part of the scale. And then there's the throne, or the side of the scale that you can see where Barrett resides or sits. And that part of the throne kind of rises up and down gently, as if something is being placed on the other side of the scale, of which you cannot see. So the concept behind the accounts receivable throne is, in Barrett's life, everyone has value. Now, given on the surface, that is a wonderful statement to say, but Barrett has a dark side to him. He's not looking at your potential from the standpoint of doing great things to benefit society. He's looking at your potential as a resource, and he is going to exhaust that resource until there is no potential or value. And then at that point, he will dispose of it. And there are several paths that he can choose to ultimately get rid of a person or a machine or an MA kind. One could be to sell that person or that machine into slavery to boss man, another elder immortal. Or he could simply just relegate that person or that device to the ultimate collections, where that entity would be completely liquidated, and at that point there's really nothing left. The individual would be liquidated into some form of energy, and then there would be nothing left. So the next question is, how do people find themselves in front of Barrett Blueblood in the very beginning? Well, the easiest way to describe it is, upon birth, you're given a score on your potential. The machines calculate your ethnicity, the wealth of your family, the potential of education, and they come up with a model that kind of says how much potential you will provide the globe, and more concisely, how much potential you will provide Barrett of the Blueblood. And then from there, you live your life, and hopefully you're able to exceed the potential. And at that point, you live longer, and you're given a better station in life, and things are great. And you go before the Blue Blood annually. They track to see whether or not you're moving in the right direction, as projected by their graph at the very beginning of your life, and away you go. Because at certain points in your life, you'll probably be above the graph, in which case the calculators of potential will be clicky-clacking away, and you'll be happy. And there'll be points in your life where you won't be where you should be on that line, in which case the debt calculators will deduct from your potential. And in that case, that's not a good situation. Hopefully you won't be on that line too long. So the next question is, can an individual actually pay themselves out of debt? The easy answer is no. You're given an initial score. You might be able to raise the score, in which case, in a roundabout way, you're able to pay your way, not out of debt, but to extend your existence. So, long story short, there's no paying out of debt. So in this story, Barrett Blueblood is thinking about the worth of kneeling. And from an immortal perspective, anything that has to do with the degradation of an individual is frowned upon. And so out of all of his millions of years of existence, he's never really thought, and he being Barrett of the Blueblood, has never really contemplated what the worth of kneeling truly is. It's a scary thing, because as he's sitting there, the thought of kneeling and the worth of it begins to percolate in his mind. And he has to find some sort of standard in which he can begin to calculate the worth of kneeling. So for Barrett, he figures the best way to do that is to secure worth, or calculate worth, of the individual that all would graciously kneel before, that being the albino. So this short story comes to a conclusion where Barrett has come to the conclusion that he must find and secure the albino, thereby having the time to calculate the albino's worth, and then from there, calculate the worth of kneeling. I hope you enjoyed this segment, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.